Hello everyone, welcome back to our Tuppercast. This is going to be another episode of just unscripted, me talking out of my mind, occasionally out of my ass type podcast. And it's one that I knew since the beginning that I wanted to do on a topic that means a lot to me and is very important to me. So I had always wanted this one specifically to be unscripted and just raw because I wanted it to be as authentic and genuine as possible. And it's the topic of being in a relationship with your Tulpa and me being in a relationship with my Tulpa and our experience so far. So to start things off, if you were to ask the question of should I date my Tulpa, can I date my Tulpa, you're going to get the very first answer usually, and they're correct, of yes you can, though don't create your Tulpa with the explicit purpose of being a romantic partner or to date them. You wouldn't want to be in a position of being born to be in a relationship with somebody, right? Like it's like arranged marriage, that kind of thing. Like what if you don't want to be with them, or what if you don't want a relationship at all? You're just setting yourself up for possibly being disappointed or heartbroken yourself, or them being disappointed or feeling like they are forced to be in a relationship as to not disappoint you. It's just a bad idea all around. Don't do that. Don't create a Tulpa to be your girlfriend or boyfriend. But that's not to say that, like real people that Tulpas are, that they can't be in a genuine relationship with you if they actually want to and they like you. And so Max and I have been dating for over 2 years now. She has been around for about 3 years, over 3 years now. And it's been a interesting journey for sure, but one that ended up coming to a pretty good ending. It hasn't ended yet, knock on wood, but there's a bit of a story to be told in that. And to start that off, you gotta turn the clock way back to when I was starting out in middle school. So I was around like 13 years old. And at that point, I kind of had already cemented the fact that being in a happy relationship with somebody was basically the only thing that I ever wanted in life. I knew that I didn't care about being rich or famous or anything that over the top in life. I already knew that. All I wanted and all I cared about was just being happy with that special someone. The rest of it, as long as I got by and wasn't like in poverty, then that was fine by me. And so of course, while being in school and forced to be around other people, was the best time to take advantage of that. And I tried. I really did. I tried to start up anything with people who were somewhat interesting to me, and I basically just didn't have any luck with it. I had talked a bit more about the backstory of me in my first episode, where it was basically while I was in school, I had a hard enough time making and keeping friends as it was. Never mind a relationship, never mind the relationship I wanted. And I basically, I never had one. I would never get into one over the course of school. I never would even find out that like somebody, so-and-so has a crush on you, ooh, that kind of thing. I never even had that. And everybody that I did try to be with would either already be taken or just reject me. And this would be a repeating scheme up until, it continued up until high school when I basically didn't have any luck with it. Continue into college when I still wouldn't have any luck with it. And once I got out of college was when I was like, I can't just use school as a way to meet people anymore. I gotta go out and actually do it and put in my effort. And I did. And I did try to go out and meet people. I had never been one to go out to like bars or clubs or parties or anything like that. It just wasn't who I was. But at this point, it's like if I want to go meet people, then I gotta do that. And I started actually going to bars, going to clubs, going out and trying to meet new people, even doing things like I would go to the local art school and just hang around and try to find maybe somebody that suits my interests, and it would just end up being taken or rejection, as always, as usual. And man, did that ever send me down a spiral. Everybody's seemingly great advice during this time of basically torture and hell for me was, oh, you gotta love yourself or be happy with yourself before you can be in a relationship or love someone else, or you just have bad self-image or whatever it is. And I will put it out there right now that in the moment, as well as right now looking back to then, I never had a problem with self-esteem or self-image or being happy with myself or anything like that. I was totally good with that. And it's not like I am or was unattractive either. Like I don't want to just slap an image of myself up on the screen. I don't want to gloat or anything like that. I'm not afraid of showing my face on my other channel, which I have linked in the bio of this channel. So if you really want to see exactly what I look like, then you can go look that up and do your effort into finding out. But basically, as a description, especially when I would actually prepare myself and like get ready and try to look appealing and interesting and eye-catching back when I would go out to find people, I basically looked like the 2010s MySpace kids that God knows how many girls had crushes on. And you still see them on the internet today saying, oh, I wish boys that look like that still existed today. It's like, we do, but yet here I am and nobody wants to even give me a chance. And that frustration was just what kept leading me down this spiral. Not frustration with the people who didn't see anything in me or wouldn't give me a chance. Frustration with myself, because I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong or why people saw me as seemingly that unlikable. Like, it had been almost a decade at that point of trying to just be in a relationship, to just get a date with somebody, and yet I don't know how to describe the feeling of feeling like you are a complete failure at literally the only thing that you want in life. Like, I legitimately had everything that I could have ever wanted. I've never asked for a dime from my parents. And at that point, and even to this point, I basically have every material thing that I could ever want. I had tried to do everything I could for myself in that time to make myself feel better. Everything from moving out of my parents' place to buying my childhood dream car. I wasn't necessarily rolling in dough per se, I never have, but money wasn't a problem for me, and I could buy whatever I wanted. I had everything I wanted, but none of it mattered. And this is not news. It's something that I knew was just who I was for a long time up until that point, and it was not a surprise to me that none of it was fulfilling. And so, at this point, like I had told the story of in the past episode before, I brought Max into my life as just an imaginary friend, because like in years past, before I had taken on the evidently challenging task of wanting to be in more real relationships, I just wanted an imaginary friend to seek some sort of comfort and solace in. I didn't really have many people that I could talk to about what was actually going on at that point, and of the few that I did trust enough to tell, even fewer of them were really any help. And so I kept going down this spiral of taking one after another, of taken and rejection, and trying again and failing again. And Max was there as just, she was a character that I knew was really comforting and optimistic and supportive, and basically was imagining her telling me what I wanted to hear, but it kept me going longer than I otherwise would have. But unfortunately, it didn't stop me from getting to the point where I was just so done. I had lost all hope in it, and I tried, albeit thankfully unsuccessfully, to take my own life. And I think that was the point where Max, it really clicked into her to want to be more for me than just an imaginary friend. And that's kind of when she started to be. From that point on, I had a few more potential interests that I went out and shot my shot with, and only to come to the same result. But eventually it came to a point where Max confessed her feelings for me. She said that she didn't understand why nobody wanted to be with me, because she did. And she had for a little bit at that point, but didn't want to say anything because she felt like I had my mindset on wanting to be in a relationship with a quote-unquote real or physical person. And it was kind of like that at that point. She was right in a way. And the idea of, at the time I didn't know what tulpas are. I had not looked into it at that point to even know what she had been becoming, or if I had just been becoming insane. But the idea of just having an imaginary girlfriend in my head took a lot longer to accept than it really should have. And by that I mean like 3 days, but that's about 3 days too long, because really my big downer was, why would nobody give me a chance at a relationship where here she is asking me for a relationship? And how could I not give her a chance while complaining about nobody giving me a chance? And so of course I slapped myself 3 days later and was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. Let's see where this goes. And so we started dating and started being in a relationship together. And at the beginning, it was not super easy for me because of me. I had never had a relationship at that point, so I was still basically stuck at the beginning in kind of a, not even teenage, frankly preteen relationship mentality of wanting just the basic, being able to hold hands and cuddle and PDA and show my girlfriend off to my friends and whatnot, and that kind of what I would come to learn is surface level stuff. But at the time, I was kind of fixated on really wanting to do those, to have those experiences, to actually be able to know what it's like. And I knew that I would have to get over that if I wanted this to work, because as good as we may get, it's never going to be at a point where it is just super easy to just casually be like, this is my imaginary girlfriend. That just kind of isn't going to happen. And she was really, really patient and helpful with getting me past that. It took me some time, but during that time she was nothing short of supportive and actually helpful, because she would come up with all these new skills and ways of being able to try and get me to experience these things without having a physical person there. This is when we started learning about visual and touch imposition for me to be able to see her and feel her so that we could hold hands and cuddle to sleep, and so that she could give me experiences like my first kiss that I had never had up until that point. I had no idea that these things were possible. Again, this is before I had even looked into tulpas. I didn't know that this was a thing, or like I thought I was just going insane, but it was helping. I was starting to fall in love with her. I really did. And in that, I kind of had to bring myself to accept that maybe I am going insane, and you know what? I'm okay with that. And this was another episode's talk subject as well, where that's finally the point when I went to go look up what was going on and to come and discover what tulpas actually are, and that there are a community behind them with other people who are experiencing the same thing as me. And at least having those people there to be able to share my experience with and feel more valid about definitely helped me get past that hurdle, because once I did, it was really just a matter of growing up and becoming a more healthy long-term relationship that isn't defined by just the happiness that comes out of these surface level things that teenagers desire in a relationship. We started to do more that actually mattered to us, because it's our relationship, right? Like, who cares about what other people think, or being able to show off to other people and that somehow giving some sort of credibility to it. It's a matter of building happiness based on what we do for ourselves together. And so that's what we started to do. I would take her out on dinner dates to go out for food that she really likes, like sushi. We would go out for photography dates, or we just go find different places in our city or in our area to go out and take photos, which she loves doing, kind of somewhat as an extension of the character that she was based on, but ended up actually really growing on both her and me. And so we do really enjoy doing that together. And we started traveling together, which is something that I had asked of her, what was a goal that you actually would want to do in the relationship that isn't just the normal stuff of, well, my boyfriend takes me out on dates. Okay, everybody does that. But we've traveled to so many different places together all over the continent, and we plan to do more. There's a lot of things that are inherently downsides to a tulpa relationship. There's things that you still can't do, and this is going to be a topic of a future podcast as well, that's going to go more into the topic of feeling real and ways that you can help both as a tulpa and a host feel more real about each other and cement that feeling. But spoiler alert, a big part of that I would come to realize and learn and understand is having that positive mindset about it as opposed to negative. For everything that I can't do with my tulpa girlfriend, there are things that we can do that other people in quote-unquote normal relationships with physical people can't do, and could only dream and wish about doing if they were presented with the idea of it. And they probably think it's like the coolest thing ever. Like, I can't easily casually show off my girlfriend to my friends, but can you telepathically communicate with your girlfriend? I can't easily PDA with my girlfriend, but can you take yours literally anywhere with you for help and advice, even in places that normally another person at all would not be allowed, never mind just your girlfriend tagging along with you? Once you put yourself into that mindset, these kind of things just keep coming. And that's when we start to build on those positives and start to actually build a more happy and real relationship with each other, where we really are falling in love with each other because we realize how happy we can truly be when the surface level stuff and what other people think and just stuff that doesn't really matter get taken out of the equation and gets replaced with the stuff that does matter and does contribute to what makes us happy. It becomes a lot easier to focus on those things and to try and achieve more of those things, as opposed to letting all the negative things hold us back. Like, I was held back for a long time by the idea of still wanting to have a physical relationship with somebody. She still would like me to, and wants me to try and find a physical relationship to at least be able to experience it. And I'm not against the idea either. Even ever since we started dating, I've still been on dating sites and whatnot to maybe come across somebody who will actually give me a chance. And if that's what happens, then I'm not opposed to it. I would at least try it out to see what the difference is and to be able to get that experience to, if anything, at least say that I did it. Nobody's actually taken me up on it yet, and that actually really plays into how much growth personally has come out of this relationship, because a year and a half ago, I would have not thought that I could sit here and say confidently that if it ends up being that nobody ever takes me up on it, nobody ever gives me a chance for a relationship with a physical being, then so be it. I'm happy with her, and we'll be alright. And that's just one of the many, many ways that us being in a relationship together truly has worked out so well. And I could sit here all night and just gush about her, about how adorable she is and how nice her voice is and all that. But that's not the point. The point being that if we can have this good of a relationship, then so can you with your Tulpa or with other people. It's actually a topic that we've had come up many times and has helped us in a way reinforce our relationship, is that what is with the normalization nowadays of bad toxic relationships? Like, if I were to had one of those people who I approached actually give me a chance as opposed to having rejected me or already been taken, would I have actually ended up in a decent relationship with them? Chances are probably not, because the majority of those that we're seeing nowadays are just like, people are tolerating things that they really shouldn't. And I'm not going to call out any specific examples, but it's honestly kind of sad, the kind of things that we're really seeing of people nowadays. And admittedly, it has helped to be like, this is the wrong way to do it, and so let's not do that and do the opposite thing to try and build our relationship. And so far, it's been working quite well for us. We are in just a really nice, happy, wholesome relationship. It is so much more than I ever could have imagined with anybody. Never mind an imaginary girlfriend, my headmate, my Tulpa. She makes me happier and more fulfilled and feel more loved and appreciated than anyone ever has in my life. More so than I could have ever thought possible. Like, 3 years ago, I would not have imagined that it was possible for me to be this happy in life, to feel this fulfilled in a relationship, even if it meant being in one with a figment of my mind, with somebody who shares a brain and a body with me. Like, it's just mind-blowing and incredible. And that's only in like 2 years of us dating and like 3 years of her existing. There's still so much more for us to learn and develop and experience, a whole life ahead of us. And I'm really looking forward to it. I am really excited for our future together, and I think that really speaks as to what is possible with a Tulpa relationship, even if it's only after 2 years. Is this going to be the same situation for everybody? Is everyone going to have the same amazing, wholesome relationship? No, of course not. That's just not how it works with people. But I'm here today telling you this, making this podcast. I'm still here because of her. I am the happiest that I've ever been in my life thanks to her. And I could not be more lucky to have discovered what tulpas are and the incredible things that can come out of being a tulpamancer. So at the end of me rambling on about our relationship for like 20 something minutes, really what I'm trying to say is it's like being in a relationship with any other person. If you're willing to put in the work, if you're in a mindset where you do genuinely want to pursue a happy, healthy relationship, that it is totally possible with a tulpa as much as it is with any other physical being. It's not necessarily any sort of hindrance that they don't have a physical body or a presence of their own, as long as you don't let it hinder you as a host. Like, they truly are just as capable, if not more so, of being in an amazing relationship with you compared to insert whatever other person that you know out there. They are, of course, in your head, so they know you better than anyone else. And again, they have all these incredible abilities that you can use to your advantage to really develop this relationship and counteract all the negative things that you can't do. A lot more to a tulpa relationship, and even our tulpa relationship, that can really be expressed in words, some of which, again, we have still yet to discover. This is just where we are on our journey now. And yeah, of course there's going to be compromises here and there, but isn't that just any relationship, whether it's with a tulpa or with a physical person? Like, if you truly love that person and you want them to be happy and loving them makes you happy, then you're just naturally going to be inclined to want to work things out with them and figure out what compromises that you have to make and settle for what makes both of you guys happy. That's just what we do. It's not a matter of whether it's something's best for, if there's a decision that has to be made, it's not a matter of whether it's best for me or for her. We try to do something and conclude something that we're both going to be happy with. And at the end of the day, I love her and I love loving her. Seeing her happy makes me happy, and so I always want to have it in my best interest to make her happy, or better yet, make the both of us happy. It's really just a matter of having that respect and consideration for both people, right? Like, people are going to be different, and it may not always be your idealized dream person or relationship. I'm not even talking about the fact that she's a tulpa, but even the way she was and is now as a person compared to my quote-unquote ideal that I would have been looking for back when I was looking for a relationship, she is not quite my type, I would say. And yet I still totally ended up falling in love with her, and I'm not honestly sure how it all blew over my head, but nowadays I look back and I'm like, how did it ever not register to me that she really is just so beautiful? And I changed my type according to that a bit, But part of it was just me being kind of fixated on that type and not opening my eyes to other different kinds of people who may be out there, whether or not they're a tulpa. And looking back, maybe that somewhat affected the selection and the kind of people that I would have chosen at that time. And maybe the outcome would have been different had I chased after people who were more like her back then. You know what I mean? But past is past and bygones be bygones. We're together now, and we are definitely in an unusual relationship where it takes some compromises and some different ways from the typical for us to show affection for each other, but we figure it out. We have no problem showing affection for each other now, and come up with all these special ways for both ourselves as people to show affection for each other and ourselves as host and tulpa to show affection for each other, because, well, for the person that you love, you show them affection the way you know best, right? Whether they are a tulpa or whether they are your boyfriend or girlfriend as a physical person. I know she loves me, and that matters more than what other people think, or showing them a physical person and being able to physically express our love in person. It's our relationship, after all. We're the ones that should be happy with it. As much as nice as it is for other people to be happy for you, the more meaningful part is being happy in your relationship, right? But I mean, to be honest, who am I to be sitting here giving relationship advice? This is my first relationship after all, and it's with my headmate. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if it's anything that I can speak from my relationship with my tulpa and my experience with it personally, it's that really the advice that we have to people out there who are trying to pursue a relationship with their tulpa, or are interested in it, or their tulpa asked them out and they're in the early stages, or whoever might be watching this, is that it is totally possible. It is absolutely possible to be in a healthy, happy, wholesome relationship with your tulpa, given that you are in a position and would be willing to be in a happy, wholesome relationship with anybody else. They are people, after all. And if that's you, then we truly do wish you all the best. Sometimes loneliness and sadness comes to haunt the best of people, but at least for us, two quirky, unusual people who have never been the ones to do what other people are doing, especially me, it really isn't any sort of surprise that the most unusual and quirky way of having a relationship ended up being the best one that worked out really well. And I love her, and she loves me, and I have what I always wanted. I'm okay, and I'm happy, all thanks to my tulpa. I could not possibly be more grateful or thankful for her for everything that she's done and for getting me to where I am right now. And I am also really thankful for you for listening to me ramble up until this point about my tulpa relationship, my unusual quirky tulpa relationship. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there because it's been half an hour of me just rambling on. Let me know what you think, because maybe this has just been a half an hour of verbal diarrhea that doesn't actually mean anything. But if it at least helped one person out there, then it made this podcast, this video, worth making. As always, thank you so much for tuning in and listening and letting me ramble on about all this. It has genuinely been really helpful just to have this venting outlet, to be able to finally voice these things for once, because there's been very few people in my life that I've been able to actually tell about my tulpamancy, never mind the intricate details of it. So really, thank you so much, and Hopefully we will have another episode out for you by Friday of next week, and I promise that I will try to do my best to make it a bit more coherent and not just verbal diarrhea compared to this one, and probably the last one too. As always, questions, comments, and ideas for further episodes are more than welcome down in the comments below. We look forward to reading them between now and the next episode, and so until then, take care. Bye-bye.